Hey everybody. Ooh, hello. So just a quick thing about me. I am a blogger as well, and I have been using WordPress since 2006. I have 4 sites right now. Probably the most famous as of this weekend is NutellaDay.com. If you've heard of what's going on with that. So this is a site that has a lot of my pictures and photography, so I kind of wanted to talk about the media manager from a photographer's point of view, because I think there's been some improvements in how it handles media and how we can kind of do things that maybe you used to do in Photoshop or in GIMP, as I do. So first, I work for Automattic, so that's WordPress.com. Specifically, I work for the WordPress.com VIP team. So I'm also, and they ask me anything, you can throw out some questions regarding that, and we have some other products that you might be familiar with. So I just want to dive right in. Since 3.5, some changes have happened to the media uploader specifically, and now you can drag and drop images into the uploader, which has made it so much easier to do mass uploading if you're someone like me who maybe has 10 or 15 photos to a post. So you can just drag and drop them in here, and as they're uploading, you can go into the attachment details and actually start doing edits and modifications as they're uploading, which is something that's really cool because, especially if you're on a slow internet connection, sometimes you're sitting there for 5 minutes and waiting for things to confirm so you can start getting started on that information. So just a quick kind of up close of what's going on here. So the title you can put in, and that becomes the title on your media page for each of those, each attachment page. And it's how, when you're in your media library, you can pull things up. So sometimes it helps to give a descriptive title so that later when you're looking for that specific image, you can pull it up. The caption is only if you want that to display on the front end, right? So if you have that in a gallery or you have that on its own. I don't always use the caption, maybe in a gallery now, it's a little easier. The alt text, obviously, most of you know what that's for, and that's just to help the spiders and the robots kind of understand what image it's looking at. Okay, so I just filled it in real quick. This is a post that talks about how I travel, and I use a lot of Google Maps. Should I just put this down? Is that better? Is that better? No. Okay. Sorry for the glitching. So I just go ahead and filled it out for this particular map, which is London. And below the screen, so back to this, there's actually a second part down here, which you can't see, so you have to scroll down. And that goes into the alignment and where to link to. It naturally wants to link to the media file, which I don't like. I usually want it to link to some custom URL, or maybe I don't want it to link to anything. So here you can pull in the drop down and you can choose which of the things you want it to link to. So usually custom URL, maybe you want it to go outside to another site or to, I don't know, a Flickr page, or maybe even just to another article, or you can use none quite a bit. So let's dive into editing an image. So in this particular case, I want to actually make some modifications to this image. It's not exactly what I want it to look like. And now I also use Instagram. So sometimes when I'm using WordPress, I want to kind of simulate Instagram, and so I crop most of my things in a square. And I used to have to do this, in GIMP or something else. So I usually do it now directly in the admin. So I just click on Edit Image, and usually I open that in a separate tab. And this is what the Edit Media page looks like. So as you see here over the side, there's some controls up here which aren't really clear what they're doing. And then there's some information about the image over here, and the thumbnail especially, which could be interesting to people. But for today, we want to kind of look at cropping it. This is something that wasn't completely intuitive to me, is that you actually have to just put your mouse in there and start clicking and dragging. I thought first you'd have to click on crop, and then it would give you the controls. So you just click and drag. In this case, I can see that I'm not doing a very good square. I'm not really good at that by eyesight, so I decided to kind of force the aspect ratio. Hold on a second. So, I go to the right side of things, and just wanted to point out real quick that for thumbnail settings, perhaps you wanted to keep the thumbnail you have, so make sure that when you do changes, you might say, all sizes except the thumbnail. So you select that so when you start cropping and messing with things, you don't lose them. Okay, so I say, okay, I'm not very good at doing a square, so I force the aspect ratio up here. So 1 to 1 is the easiest way to do that. Go back to my selecting, and now I have a square. Next, I click on crop. So it's kind of counterintuitive to people that use Photoshop. You usually select your tool, then you do something, and it happens, and this is the opposite. You actually are selecting the image, and then you're picking on crop. And after that, make sure you save it, because otherwise it won't actually take it. So save, image saved. So now we go back to the main, I'm still uploading like eight pictures in this post. We're gonna go back to the main insert media screen. And you can see I still have the old rectangle here. And if you see here, refresh has showed up because WordPress is smart and it knows that some changes happen. So I click on refresh, and now it gives me the square that I just did. Okay, so for creating a gallery, these are some of the coolest things, and obviously I'm going to go into some of the stuff that WordPress.com does for you and Jetpack later, which I think are even cooler, but when you upload a bunch of images, it automatically selects them. So you can see down here, actually maybe you can't see that, but down here it says 7 selected because that's all the ones I uploaded at once, and each one has a check. So if I want to remove one, I can go and click on each one to remove it when I create the gallery. So I have 7 images, and I want to create a new gallery. This is the screen that it gives me after I click on create a gallery. So now I can still go in and edit things like the captions under each. I can drag and drop, kind of, and this is new in 3.5. This is new in 3.5. You can drag and drop the order, which is kind of cool. There's also a reverse order up there, which usually has to do with the order in which they were uploaded, but I like to be able to decide what order they go in. And then when it gets inserted, this is what you see in the visual editor. It's not very explicative, but you just go ahead and do a preview and you'll see what it looks like. If you need to get back into the gallery, you click on it and you'll see these two things, which is delete and edit. So you want to click on this here and get back into the controls. Okay, so 2 other things that I used to have to do in other like photo editing is rotating. So this picture of the Golden Gate Bridge, I'm not sure how it was rotated, probably because I took it vertically. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this, and when I go into the edit media page, I'm going to click on rotate clockwise. So just go right in there and do that, and save it. And this picture is huge because thank goodness the iPhone now takes really decent pictures, especially the 5. So if you look over here, it's like 2400 by 3200, and that's pretty big, and I'd rather scale it down now, knowing that I probably don't need that large image on my site. So here's the quick one. You can see how big it is, pretty big. So I go in and I say, well, 600 is probably as large as I would need, or maybe even 1,000 if you have a full screen post. And just go ahead and click on scale. And you can also go back and always restore the original image, which is right below that. Okay, so this is something that was introduced in the fall on WordPress.com, and I thought it was pretty cool because I always, especially as a photographer, I always wanted to have pictures look nice. You know, when you put them up there, you can, you can spend a lot of time putting pictures side by side or creating some sort of mosaic. And this is something that at WordPress.com we did like almost effortlessly. You could kind of decide how to reorder things. You could decide, this is an example of a tile gallery, and you can always, it kept going down. I couldn't show you the whole thing, but the cool thing is with the new media manager, you can also create multiple galleries in the same. Who remembers when you can only create 1 gallery per post? Yeah, it kind of sucks, right? You could, if you wanted to do, for example, if I did like a year in review and I wanted a mini gallery for every month, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it all. Now I can kind of do like a mini gallery for each one. So here's an example of another gallery that we did, and then this is the rectangular gallery. This is the square gallery. And this is the circle gallery. So this is on WordPress.com and also available through Jetpack. So if you have Jetpack, it's one of the modules. You can just go ahead and click on activate, and then you'll see those controls in your media uploader when you go to create a gallery. And one more thing in Jetpack, which is kind of cool, is the carousel. So as you remember, when you insert an image, you can tell it where to point to. If it's going to point to the, if it's going to point to the media file or something in a gallery, when you click on it, it may take you to the media page. Instead, the carousel kind of forces it in a light box type of situation. And that's also available in Jetpack. You can just turn it on. So this is just a really quick walkthrough of some things. I know that not everyone's really spent a lot of time in discovering the Media Manager was changed since 3.5, and in 3.6 there's not going to be a ton of new changes, but with regards to the Media Manager. But I thought that it was good to kind of walk people through and see if there were any questions. So I'm going to stop here. Thank you. Oh, question already? Okay.
With that gallery, it's always left justified.
Which gallery?
The tile one,
Okay.
or even the circle.
Which theme are you using?
I have,
Because sometimes the theme is like overriding that, and you have to make sure that it's not doing that.
okay, so.
Yeah, because what we really should do is be using the entire width of the post. And if somehow you've changed the width of the post and you haven't communicated, like maybe in CSS, you changed it somehow and the gallery doesn't know to go all the way across, so it thinks that it's going all the way across, and that's why it's leaving that white on the side. That happened to me on a few of my sites. That I had to go back and like fix the width.
That would be the CSS.
Yeah, if you want to, after I'll probably stick around. Hi.
So you can edit CSS in Jetpack?
No, I'm talking about the theme like settings.
Okay.
So this
would go into a...
So the gallery is looking for 100% width.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's looking for 100%. So what it thinks is 100% width of the post or page.
You're not clear. I use, the theme I use is SlideShare or something like that. And I set up the pages. I'm using it right now as a blog, not as a website. I use Dreamweaver, but I'd like to use WordPress because it's faster and easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking for a way, I'm a photographer, so I'm looking for a way of creating galleries in WordPress.
Mm-hmm.
And
So if you enable Jetpack, you can definitely do that. The question, I think your question there was,
how much
can I
control do
modify
I
the
have?
CSS?
Exactly. How much control do I have in setting up the gallery?
So it's gallery should be just, you should be able to modify the CSS on your own for the gallery.
I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can look into that for you though, if you want.
Thank you.
Question back there.
When you modify your images and you crop them, is that overriding the original ones? You get them back, or you got the original?
So it should keep the original image somewhere.
You will keep
Question?
I think before, there was sort of a difference between the media library and images that you uploaded to a post. And images belong to that post, right?
In the past, you mean?
Yeah, and now everything just goes into the library. Can you talk a little bit about how that all works?
Yeah, so, well, in the past when it had to be attached to a page or it would attach to one page, and I think that's coming back to being able to create multiple galleries. If you remember what I was saying, now you can create many galleries, and I think because, maybe someone can explain this better than I can, is that the images aren't attached anymore to a page or post. They have their own like ID that can be brought into any page or post.
So each image is a post, essentially?
Sorry?
Each image?
Well, they each have their own media page for sure. Attachment page is what they call it. Yeah. I have to be honest, I don't know exactly how those are brought into each. Yeah. So you do one.
Media is a post type. So you're able to, and this goes to the, I guess, two post types. Media to any post, any media to any post. Same media will side. The category is not really similar. So like Tara said, the image isn't locked to a post. site there.
Or is it used to be?
I think it used to be. I don't really remember how.
They used to have to upload the image to the second post. I think. To the gallery.
Well, yeah.
Once you upload it, it gets associated with that post. I don't think the association, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's he saying? Jeff or your Michael, oh my god.
No, I mean, you have the featured image. Featured image is also in the media library, and then you can hit a button, and then it flips to that, and that instance of it belongs to.
But in this case, the gallery, is it contained as like a separate object, like a featured, like the featured image is a separate thing inside of the post, but is the gallery part of the body and content of the post, or is it its own thing?
So if you look at the HTML, when I look at it, it says gallery and then it has the IDs. So it's just pulling in the IDs of the images. So, which is why you're able to kind of
I
mess with
mean,
it.
media library, they're just all images, and you use other means to connect it to whatever kind of contact you want to connect it to.
Yeah, I have Trump. I could probably pull it up. I try not to do anything live, but I can pull up Trump and look. But basically, you'll see the shortcode for the gallery, and then it'll pull in IDs and all the numbers.
Now you said this is only for Jetpack. You need to have Jetpack running to be able to use this type of thing, or?
So obviously, there's a lot of plugins and a lot of different ways to do that. I'm just showing this because it's really easy and just takes an activation. Obviously, you're creating some site with a really high level of customization. You may want to build your own, or you may want to use something else.
No, because like I have a lot of custom sites that aren't posted on WordPress.com. So this would be kind of really valuable to me, but if it's Jetpack only, can you use Jetpack now on a self-hosted site, or?
Yeah, the Jetpack's only self-hosted.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the purpose of Jetpack is to bring as many WordPress.com features to self-hosted sites as possible.
Your Jetpack part is just the tiles library, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like the umbrella plugin, I guess you could call it. And
But I
there's-
mean, you can make a gallery without Jetpack. It's just the tile gallery.
Sure. Sorry, yeah, this is just the formatting that is readily available for a lot of people that, you know, if you.
Next one would save me time from having to develop.
Right, just like the carousel for a lot of people, when it came up, they didn't have to like build their own like box anymore, so. Question.
Can I ask a question about the content delivery part of like Jetpack?
Photon?
Right. How does that work exactly? Like when you assign an image to the content delivery network, like right now I'm working on a site where the top part of the site is just like a 100% image.
Mm-hmm.
It goes across, and I think I'm going to try to use the content delivery network because right now I'm hosting it on a niche host, and I think it would speed it up. And I'm just wondering, how does that work? Like does Automattic have like sites all over the place where it uploads the image to, and that's?
Yeah, so obviously, we have, I don't know how many data centers, I know we have 3 for sure. I think they're spreading out to more. Depending on your site and your traffic, I wouldn't go as far to say that we are a full CDN service because you are not going to have as much granular control over what maybe you have a lot of people in India or something, and so you need to find a CDN that would probably meet those needs. But we do have several data centers, and the way that WordPress works or WordPress.com works is that it's a single code base that's replicated across our servers. So, yeah.
No, I think that it is a great feature because I'm working with each of these images. They range in size from anywhere from like 110K to 160K. And it seems like it's done a really good job. And I was just curious to know how it worked because I know most CDNs, when you do have to pay for a company to do it, I know that can get fairly expensive.
Yeah, I think we are able to scale on a few things pretty easily, and I think that's why they decided to roll that in there because we are providing that already for millions of sites, and for those people that want to use it, it would be cool to kind of get that option to self-hosted. A question back there?
I've been using the media gallery, and I put in some information, the title and caption, but if I want to change it, I can't seem to find a way of doing that.
Okay, so you're doing it in the media library or in the post?
Yeah, it's in the beginning when I grabbed it to the media, that gives you this option.
So when you go into the media page of that specific,
Yeah, just when you open up the media gallery.
so when you go here, is what you're saying when you open the media page or the media gallery? I'm just trying to make sure I understand the,
You open up the media, button on the side.
Mhm.
That gives you that big square, right?
sure, so you're probably in a post or a page at that point, yeah.
And then when you do that, you have the option to put in information about your skit and your title
Yes.
and your caption. But if you want to change it, I don't know.
Later, maybe in the same post, you
Right,
decided,
yeah,
okay.
it's like the theme I'm using and,
So, wait, have you tried clicking on it? Let me show you. Just like the gallery, when you click on any image in the visual editor, you should see these two
right.
buttons. And if you click on edit the image, it should bring up it brings up an abbreviated page, which I'm not showing here, and it has all of that in there. Has title, has caption, has alt text.
I haven't seen it.
I will look with you after. I'm happy to figure this out. No, I mean, it's probably just something I'm not understanding. We can look after, for sure. Anybody else?
I was just Googling for carousel jetpack. Right here. And this guy has a plugin called Carousel without Jetpack. And what he says is, I love this carousel feature that's part of the Jetpack plugin. However, I didn't like that I was being forced to connect my site with WordPress.com. Use a feature that has no connection with WordPress.com. So I simply forked the carousel module from Jetpack.
Okay.
What is he talking about? What does that mean? You're forced to use WordPress.com?
So Jetpack asks you to authenticate through WordPress.com a lot of times because the most popular feature through a Jetpack is actually your site statistics. So most users of that plugin want their site statistics, which is served through a login. Yeah. But some people don't like that.
He signed into WordPress.com.
Yeah, so you create a user account. So you don't have to have a log, you just have a user account. So
It's not like it's one of the somewhere.
sorry,
Anyway, it doesn't sound very serious.
I'm happy to talk to you about it.
It doesn't sound like a serious objection.
I've heard all these kinds of objections, and I think it just kind of depends on your preference. Yeah. I think obviously Jetpack is a plugin that people like for simplicity because they want to kind of turn things on and have them work and not, but it's probably not for a tinkerer, it's probably not for someone who gets into their code as much.